4K 60 frames a second, 180 frames a second in 1080, 422 10-bit internal, incredible image stabilization, unlimited recording, incredible battery life, overheating not even remotely an issue. But it's unbelievable that even 3 years later, the GH5 is still a powerhouse of a camera. And honestly, it's a camera I still think people should buy in 2020. And oh, by the way, $1,300. We've used the GH5s on so many types of projects over the course of the last 3 years, from weddings to commercial stuff to vlogs to just about everything. And there's never really been a time that the GH5 has disappointed us. There are still times that I go to a shoot and I will grab a GH5, or I'll have one of my shooters grab a GH5 and just get stuff, because I know that even as a C200 user, I still can get great quality from the GH5s. And I know that realistically I can get close to the same quality, in my opinion, as the C200s when lit correctly and when the person knows how to operate the camera. And the camera's a fifth of the price of the actual C200. When's the last time their client said to you, man, it would be really nice if we had a little bit more dynamic range in your shots? Probably not very often. When's the last time you went to a client shoot to do some slow motion and they said, oh man, I really wish that could be in 240 frames a second? These things don't happen. These are not conversations that you ever have with clients. Outside of people that obviously work in Hollywood and do all that kind of work, where obviously as camera tech people, we understand those features, we understand the benefit of them. 99% of people, especially people that probably watch my channel that are new or starting a video production company, whatever it is, you're making decisions so often of what camera to buy or whether you should upgrade a camera for all these features that realistically don't matter whatsoever in the actual work that you're doing. The GH5 is not unbelievable in low light. In fact, I probably wouldn't go higher than maybe 1600 ISO with it. In the last 3 years I've been shooting, I've never had to go higher than 1600 ISO with the camera, because I use lenses that are very low f-stop, and then I use light, and I love the results from it. You have to get lenses that actually make sense for the GH5, and when you get the right lenses and you pair it with the GH5, it's literally a magical camera for the quality that you can get. My favorite lenses are all the prime lenses from Olympus. They're actually the M-Zoico lenses. So they make a 45 1.2 like this, a 25 1.2, a 75 1.8. And yes, that's more like probably 2.0 or 2.2, 2.8-ish on an actual full frame camera, but it's more like a 90 millimeter 2.8. And you can get some beautiful, beautiful shots with it. And the really important thing to realize is that in any camera system, no matter full frame or not, the lenses are the most important thing, and so it's important to pair really good lenses with the actual cameras. So instead of looking at all these cameras that are coming out and saying you need it because it has 8K this, do you need 8K? Probably not. 4K still isn't the standard delivery, and yet 8K is drawing people to this camera. 4K 120 frames a second is something people are like, oh my gosh, I have to have that. But once again, if you're not delivering in 4K, a GH5 has 180 frames a second in 1080. So do you really need the 4K 120 when you can actually have 180 if you're still not delivering in 4K? Because for the type of work that we do and the clients that we work for, they don't know what any of that means. They know what it looks like to see a clear video that looks really nice to them, that tells a story, that it sounds good, and they're really happy with the work we do. I think one of the things about this whole revolution of like cameras getting better and better and better is it actually has, I think, turned a lot of filmmakers into like lazy filmmakers who, instead of focusing on the important things like lighting and good audio and story, were being trained into thinking that if we get the best camera that has every single feature we need, like it's got to have great autofocus, got to have high frame rate, it's got to have good low light, got to have this, got to have that. Well, but are we focusing at all on like actually making good stories out of that stuff, or making sure we have good light, or making sure that we have good audio? Because it doesn't matter if you shoot on a red, if your audio sucks, your video still sucks. If you shoot on a red and your lighting sucks, your video still sucks. And I think out of anything, I would almost say that like a GH5 in 2020 makes more sense than ever, because what the GH5 has forced me to do is when I left a really good low light camera like the A7S II for the GH5, it required me to actually learn more about lighting, which in turn has made a drastic difference on everything that we shoot. There's people that will say, I can't start my video production company until I get this new camera. And the reason I don't get more work is because I don't have the best camera. You're making up excuse after excuse after excuse. If you can't, in 2020, have a GH5 that is only $1,300 and get work with it, the problem isn't the camera. And the new camera that you want, that just came out, that just blew your mind, that just made you feel like you needed, won't get you work either. Because no one has ever once called me and asked me what kind of camera I shoot on. So think about that. Lots of great cameras coming out, but does it really matter?